To the public, he calls him brother, but behind closed doors, Lenny Kravitz is finally revealing how he truly feels about Jason Momoa, the man who married his ex-wife, Lisa Bonet. After years of forced smiles and shared skull rings, Kravitz is opening up about the truth behind their relationship. Lenny Kravitz was born on May 26, 1964, in New York City. His father, Cy Kravitz, was a Russian Jewish television producer who worked for NBC. His mother, Roxy Roker, was a black actress from the Bahamas best known for playing Helen Willis on The Jeffersons. Their marriage began in conflict. Cy's parents disapproved of their son marrying a black woman who wasn't Jewish and refused to attend their 1962 wedding. Roxy confronted that racial and cultural tension head-on, later telling young Lenny that he came from two different worlds, both of which mattered. Still, she reminded him that most people would only see him as a black man. Lenny's childhood was split between very different environments. During the weekdays, he lived with his parents in a Manhattan apartment on the Upper East Side. On weekends, he would visit his grandmother Bessie in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn. Even his name carried legacy. He was named after his uncle, Leonard Kravitz, who died at age 20 in the Korean War while protecting his platoon. Leonard was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor. Decades later, in 2011, Lenny discovered during a live broadcast that he was related to NBC weatherman Al Roker. They were cousins. In 1974, when Lenny was 10, the family relocated to Los Angeles after his mother secured her role on The Jeffersons, marking a new beginning in Hollywood. By then, Lenny had already shown musical promise. At age 3, he banged on pots and pans like drums. By 5, he declared he wanted to be a musician. That same year, jazz legend Duke Ellington played Happy Birthday for him at his party. Through his father's jazz connections, Lenny also came into contact with icons like Miles Davis and Sarah Vaughan. At 6, he saw the Jackson 5 live at Madison Square Garden, calling it the greatest moment of his life. On his 7th birthday, his father gave him a Yamaha acoustic guitar. By age 9, he was taking guitar lessons at the Harlem School of the Arts. At 11, he joined the California Boys Choir and performed classical music, including a performance at the Hollywood Bowl with the Metropolitan Opera. These early experiences laid the foundation for his musical discipline. In high school, Lenny joined the music program at Beverly Hills High School, a school with an unusually star-studded student body, including Nicolas Cage, Gina Gershon, Angelina Jolie, David Schwimmer, and Rob Reiner. He played drums in a school production of Oklahoma while Nicolas Cage performed on stage. Around that time, Lenny formed a band called Wave with his friend Trey Stevie I. They played local gigs and built up their experience. However, things at home were unraveling. His parents' marriage was deteriorating, and they eventually divorced in 1985. Lenny began smoking weed at 11 and left home by age 15. Determined not to use his parents' industry ties, he was set on forging his own path. After graduating in 1982, he pursued music full-time, refusing help from family or industry connections. He adopted the stage name Romeo Blue, wore blue contact lenses that irritated his eyes, and rejected the name Lenny Kravitz for sounding uncool. He idolized artists like Prince and Ziggy Stardust and wanted a persona to match. To survive, he lived in a rented Ford Pinto for $5 a day and worked a string of odd jobs, cleaning fish, washing dishes, and selling shoes and clothes. Despite his efforts, a record deal eluded him. In 1986, he returned to New York to start over. By 1987, things began to change. That year, he met Lisa Bonet, then starring on The Cosby Show. They married in Las Vegas in November, and in 1988, their daughter Zoe was born. Yet even with his new family, Lenny still struggled to break through musically. Record labels dismissed him, saying he wasn't black enough for R&B or white enough for rock. Finally, in 1989, Lenny released his debut album Let Love Rule on September 6. It was the antithesis of mainstream late-80s music, which was dominated by slick pop and heavy production. Lenny took a raw, retro approach, writing the songs, performing most instruments, singing, and producing it himself. The album blended rock, soul, funk, and psychedelic sounds reminiscent of the 70s. While critics in the US were lukewarm, the album found major success in Europe, selling over 2 million copies there within 5 years. In the US, it didn't even reach 1 million. A turning point came in 1991 with his second album Mama Said, released on April 2. The timing was personal and painful. He and Lisa Bonet were separating, and he was overwhelmed by sudden fame. He slipped into a deep depression and barely left the house. He channeled his emotional turmoil into the music. The album kept its retro vibe but shifted more decisively into early 70s territory. Critics noted it could have come out in 1972. Mama Said peaked at number 39 on the Billboard 200 and went platinum in the US, selling over 3 million copies worldwide. The standout track was It Ain't Over Till It's Over. It featured a smooth bassline, a sitar riff, lush string arrangements, and Kravitz's falsetto in full force. The single propelled the album to commercial success and marked his breakthrough. Then, in 1993, came the defining moment of his career. At Waterfront Studios in Hudson, New York, he and guitarist Craig Ross had only 5 minutes before another band took over the studio. In that brief window, they recorded Are You Gonna Go My Way, not realizing it would become a signature track. Released on February 8, 1993, the song hit number 1 in Australia and number 4 in the UK, and dominated US rock radio. The music video, directed by Mark Romanek, amplified its impact. It featured Kravitz in a blood-red suede tunic with Cindy Blackman Santana on drums. The visuals and energy became iconic. Lenny later explained that the lyrics were written from the perspective of Jesus Christ, with bold lines like I was born long ago and I have come to save the day, giving the song a spiritual edge that resonated worldwide. The song earned 2 Grammy nominations, one for Best Rock Song and another for Best Rock Vocal Performance. Although he didn't win that year, the song catapulted Lenny Kravitz into the public eye in a lasting way. Interestingly, Kravitz never set out to become a pop star. In 1991, he wrote It Ain't Over Till It's Over, a track he initially considered giving to Smokey Robinson because he felt it was too mainstream. Kravitz aimed to stay underground, but the song's impact was undeniable. It soared to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, changing everything for him. Suddenly, he couldn't walk down the street without being recognized. He had become a household name. 7 years later, in 1998, another transformative moment arrived. While testing a studio amp, Kravitz casually began playing a riff. It wasn't planned, nor was it intended for the album he was working on. But that impromptu jam led to Fly Away. Initially, he didn't include it on his new album, 5, until a friend encouraged him to keep it. Soon after, Peugeot featured the song in a UK car commercial, turning it into a massive overseas hit. It climbed to number 1 in Britain, and with that, 5 gained new momentum. Released on May 12, 1998, the album had initially underperformed. Critics gave it mixed reviews, claiming it didn't measure up to his earlier work, and sales were low. But once Fly Away gained traction, the album was revitalized. It remained on the Billboard Top 200 for 2 years. By September 2, 1999, it had sold 2 million copies in the US and was certified double platinum. This album also marked a shift in Kravitz's creative process. He began incorporating digital production tools, moving away from his previously analog-only approach. This blending of modern techniques with vintage influences paid off. 5 helped cement his place among legendary artists like Sly Stone and Curtis Mayfield, not just as someone inspired by them, but as someone now contributing to that musical legacy. In 2000, Kravitz released Greatest Hits on October 24. Though some critics thought it was premature for a compilation, the album became the most commercially successful release of his career. It sold 10 million copies worldwide, including 479,000 in the US alone, earning triple platinum status by April 2001. It also achieved 4 times platinum certification in Canada and triple platinum in Europe. The collection's only new song, Again, became another hit, reaching number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 and earning Kravitz another Grammy. The album peaked at number 2 on the Billboard 200 and remained on the chart for over 75 weeks. It won back old fans and attracted new ones with a sound that was both nostalgic and modern, widening his audience more than ever. Kravitz then went on an unprecedented Grammy streak. From 1999 to 2002, he won the Grammy for Best Male Rock Vocal Performance 4 years in a row. It began with Fly Away in 1999, followed by American Woman in 2000, again in 2001, and Dig In 2002. No artist had ever won that award 4 consecutive times. Previously, Bruce Springsteen held the record with 3. During this time, pop acts like Britney Spears and the Backstreet Boys dominated the charts. Rock music seemed to be fading, but Kravitz managed to hold his ground. His sound and style brought renewed vitality to the genre when it needed it most. Back in 1985, before any of this success, Kravitz was still performing under the name Romeo Blue. He was an unknown musician trying to make his way. That year, at a New Edition concert in California, he saw Lisa Bonet for the first time. She was already a star thanks to The Cosby Show. Kravitz noticed her stepping into an elevator and nervously complimented her hair. Despite it not being perfectly smooth, he found it captivating. They crossed paths again backstage and connected instantly. He described it as a moment when time stopped. They didn't begin dating immediately, choosing instead to build a friendship over 2 years. At one point, Bonet even let him crash on her couch. By 1987, they became a couple, and Kravitz moved into her Venice home, where he set up his instruments and began writing music. He said the songs flowed naturally. Bonet was a transformative influence. Before her, he felt lost, still hiding behind a stage name. Through her, he discovered his authentic voice. She co-wrote 2 tracks on his debut album and helped craft his image. One iconic moment came when he forgot his comb after moving in. His hair began locking naturally. Bonet told him to keep it, and that spontaneous advice gave rise to the dreadlocks that became his signature look. They married on November 16, 1987, Bonet's 20th birthday, eloping in Las Vegas at the Chapel of Love. On December 1, 1988, their daughter, Zoe Isabella Kravitz, was born. Kravitz said they had their own world, their own rhythm. Though people called him Mr. Bonet, he didn't mind. He was proud to be with her. But he later admitted he became too consumed by his music. Their relationship ended in 1991 and their divorce was finalized in 1993, when Zoe was just 2 years old. Meanwhile, Jason Momoa's journey to fame didn't begin in Hollywood. Born in Hawaii in 1979 and raised in Iowa by his mother, Momoa was studying marine biology at the University of Hawaii when his life took a surprising turn. A local designer, Takeo Kobayashi, encouraged him to pursue modeling, which soon led to an audition for Baywatch Hawaii. In 1999, he landed the role, beating out over 1,000 other actors. It made him recognizable but didn't propel his acting career. In fact, he struggled for years afterward, unable to find an agent and dismissed by casting directors. He later admitted the Baywatch role earned him little respect in the industry. With limited income, Momoa traveled the world, calling himself a rock-climbing bum and living out of a van. Then in 2008, a life-altering event occurred. He was attacked at the Bird Cafe in Hollywood, where a man smashed a pint glass into his face. He underwent reconstructive surgery and received over 140 stitches, leaving a prominent scar above his left eyebrow. The injury transformed his appearance, giving him a more rugged look. It ultimately worked in his favor. By 2010, things began to change. The creators of Game of Thrones saw his image on a fan-casting website and felt he was a perfect match for Khal Drogo. He impressed them during his audition by performing a haka, earning the role. Though his character appeared only in the first season, the impact was tremendous. Hollywood finally began to take notice. In 2011, just after Game of Thrones, Momoa received the CinemaCon Rising Star Award. Lionsgate called him the next unstoppable action hero. In the same year, Jason Momoa took on the lead role in Conan the Barbarian. By 2012, his profile had grown enough to earn him a Screen Actors Guild nomination as part of the ensemble cast of Game of Thrones. His breakout moment came shortly after with Aquaman. In 2014, director Zack Snyder quietly brought him into the DC Extended Universe. Momoa's first brief appearance was in Batman v Superman, 2016, followed by a larger role in Justice League, 2017. The major turning point was in 2018 when Aquaman hit theaters. It grossed over $1.1 billion globally, becoming the most successful DC film ever. His portrayal of Aquaman was fearless, unconventional, and unlike anything audiences had imagined, an interpretation that redefined the character and Momoa's career. Before this, he often accepted roles just to make ends meet. Afterward, he had the power to choose. He secured the lead in Apple TV Plus's Series C, joined the star-studded cast of Dune in 2021, and appeared in Fast X in 2023. He's also been confirmed to play Lobo in Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Recognition followed. In 2017, he received a nomination at the Canadian Screen Awards for his role in Frontier. By 2019, he had won the Jupiter Award for Best International Actor for Aquaman. That same year, he received nominations at the MTV Movie and TV Awards, the Teen Choice Awards, and the Kids' Choice Awards. In 2024, he was nominated again, this time at the People's Choice Awards. Jason's personal life attracted nearly as much attention as his career. He first met actress Lisa Bonet in 2005 at a jazz club in Los Angeles. For Momoa, it was a dream come true. He had adored her since childhood after watching her on The Cosby Show, where she played Denise Huxtable. By then, Bonet had long been divorced from musician Lenny Kravitz. But there was a twist. When Jason met Lisa, he was already engaged to actress Simone J. McKinnon. The two had met in 1999 while filming Baywatch, and they'd been together for 6 years, getting engaged in 2004. However, the engagement abruptly ended in 2005 when Jason began dating Lisa. He never looked back. Although many believe Jason and Lisa married in 2007, they didn't legally tie the knot until October 2017. Still, their relationship was strong. They welcomed their daughter, Lola Iolani, in July 2007, and their son, Nakua Wolf Manakawapo Namakiha, in December 2008. Jason chose their names to reflect his native Hawaiian heritage. The family was admired for their deep bond and striking resemblance. The children inherited Lisa's features and Jason's wild, curly hair. In January 2024, Jason appeared on the red carpet at a screening of the documentary Common Ground with his 2 children. At the time, Lola was 16 and Nakua Wolf was 15. They smiled together proudly, despite the fact that Jason and Lisa's divorce had just been finalized. What remained noteworthy about their story was the friendship Jason developed with Lisa's ex-husband, Lenny Kravitz. Far from being distant or awkward, the two men became close friends. Lenny once described Jason as a big teddy bear. In 2018, they even exchanged matching skull rings handcrafted by an artist named Leroy. Over the years, Lenny became known to the children as Uncle. When Zoe Kravitz, Lisa and Lenny's daughter, starred as Catwoman in The Batman in 2022, neither of her parents could attend the premiere. Jason stepped in and brought Lola and Nakua Wolf to support Zoe, telling the press, "We're still family." Behind the scenes, however, things were shifting. Though the couple publicly announced their separation in January 2022, they had actually parted ways back in October 2020. After 17 years together, Lisa filed for divorce in January 2024. The process moved swiftly and was finalized just a day later. They had privately settled everything in advance. The core reason behind the breakup came down to lifestyle differences. Jason's work required constant travel, while Lisa preferred to stay rooted in Los Angeles. Gradually, they drifted apart. Post-divorce, Jason embraced a nomadic way of life. In a recent interview, he revealed that he no longer maintains a permanent home, choosing instead to live on the road while filming his documentary series On the Roam. Now 44, Jason seems to have embraced this phase of life with acceptance. The friendship between Jason and Lenny wasn't just unexpected, it was remarkable. When Lenny met Jason around 2005, there was an immediate connection. "The moment we met," Lenny later said, "we were like, I love this dude." Despite the unconventional circumstances, Jason having admired Lisa since childhood and now dating her, the bond was genuine and unaffected. Still, building such a relationship took time. Lenny admitted that healing and trust had to develop, but the effort was worth it. By 2019, he was calling Jason his brother, a relationship based not on blood but on mutual respect. Their camaraderie wasn't limited to private moments. It was visible to the world. In 2018, Jason gave Lenny a custom skull ring, a gift that symbolized brotherhood. Lenny wore his ring proudly and returned the gesture with public appreciation, including a photo posted during Jason's hosting stint on Saturday Night Live. In summer 2019, Lenny posted a birthday tribute showing the two of them laughing and embracing, captioned, "Happy birthday, brother. Love and respect always. Ohana till the end." For Jason, the word ohana, Hawaiian for family, carried deep cultural meaning. Then came the defining image of their friendship. On March 19, 2022, Lenny posted a photo of them on motorcycles, with Jason behind him, arms around his shoulders. "Ride or die. Brothers for life," the caption read. It was especially poignant, coming just 2 months after Jason and Lisa's split became public. Rather than creating a divide, the breakup seemed to strengthen the bond between the two men. Jason responded, "Love you bro, ohana for life." Zoe Kravitz added her voice too, "Well, isn't this just adorable? Love you both so much." Just weeks before that post, Jason had accompanied Lola and Nakua Wolf to the Batman premiere to support Zoe. When asked why, his answer was simple and heartfelt, "We're still family." That concept runs deep in their lives. In 2024, Lenny reflected again on his enduring friendship with Jason. Despite the divorce from Lisa, their relationship hadn't changed. "We're family. We will be family. There's no judgment," he said. For him, it wasn't about obligation but something more meaningful. Their bond wasn't tied to titles or legal connections, it was sincere. Lenny took pride in being Uncle Lenny to Jason and Lisa's children. When he couldn't be at Zoe's film premiere, Jason had stepped up and said, "I got you." For Lenny, this wasn't extraordinary, it was simply how things should be. He acknowledged that the path wasn't always smooth. After the divorce, rebuilding relationships took time and effort. But he never gave up on it. The love never really left, he explained. It just had to evolve. That love took on new forms, it transitioned from romantic to familial. In a 2013 appearance on Oprah's Master Class, Lenny spoke candidly about what the end of his marriage had taught him. It forced him to reconsider how to stay connected, how to parent well, and how to move forward without breaking ties. By 2019, his relationship with Lisa had transformed into something brotherly. Their bond remained, even if it had changed. It was no longer a marriage, but it was still a lasting connection, one built on understanding, care, and years of shared history.